So here we are back for our final week together, looking at the 4 cornerstones of simple parenting. And today we've cheated because it's 4 cornerstones it's supposed to be. And Erica has snuck in love, connection and guidance all into the last one. So you get some bonus ones as well. So I'm just going to hand over to you.
Great. Well, you know, what I notice in doing this, I work with people from other countries, so this is not just Americans, but that regardless of kind of the country or demographic, it's really common for me to hear parents of either tweens or teens describe their normal household culture as having kind of tension and isolation and self-centeredness or self-involvedness and sort of a power struggle, bickering and drama. And there's sort of sometimes people feel like they're doing really badly compared to everybody else, partly because social media does make it look like, we have dinners together every night and everybody likes each other. It's kind of most people, even if they're coming to me for get help with their coaching practice or they're a business leader, they describe their house that way too, especially when there's teenagers in the house. So what's interesting is that people are looking for. It freaks people out when they see the culture of their household goes so far off the flight path, especially if you're parenting. How am I gonna? I'm the thing that's most important to me, I can't even pass on to my kids. And I'm we're just basically, I'm raising my kids in this toxic environment. And so I hear a lot of this sort of a panic. And of course, the more you panic, the worse that gets. And so one of the things that I do notice about people is, everybody's looking for the same thing. They're all looking for connection and a closeness in their relationships, in their partnership or their, with their marriage or their relationship or with their kids. And there's certain qualities that they want in their kids and their spouse. They want to see them be thoughtful and caring and, fun and funny, and to show up and be, kind of showing up and being present.
Kind to each other. That's what I always want. Yeah.
Right. You sort of have, like, if I have one thing about my kid, like I'd love them to, join the family business, or I'd love them to stay close so my grandkids are here. But really, if they could just pick one, it would be, I want them to have a certain, I want them to be nice people. And you want to be able to step back and look at your household and your relationships and see, we built something and are part of something real and meaningful and solid. Like, I've created that, if nothing else, even if they can't support themselves and they live in my house till they're 40, I just want to be able to create like a loving place for all of us, and where they love each other and they sacrifice and give and they want to be together.
They're warm, caring, kind people to each other.
Right.
And we just don't see the evidence of that at all.
Exactly. It freaks people out. And they so they feel like, the only thing that I really care about, I give everything else up for that. I can't do it. And it feels very elusive to people, that just having the love and connection that feels so basic early in life. You feel like, oh, I love this person. I want to start a family with them, and we're going to bring this to little people, and they're going to bring this, and we're going to change the world. So, especially if you didn't have that when you were younger, and it really, it can feel like the floor is dropped out from under you sometimes, when you feel like there's, not only don't I have a household of that, I don't have any of it. I haven't seen it in like 6 months. And I only see it when I'm, shopping and buying them clothes. It can feel really alarming. And first, but what Nicola and I talked about, we had a conversation similar to this, and to a certain degree, the experience and the quality of life that people are looking for is right in front of them. And the thing it's hard. It's something you'll throw this out there and you have to consider it and then go look for yourself. But, I hear a lot of parents say, well, like, how do I, how can I say that if I've never hung out at their house? And, you know, um, and if those qualities that are there, why don't I know about them? Why don't I see them? And here's what makes it tricky for people to be able to consider that there's there is that there's something salvageable in their house to rally around. Is that your ideas, the fact of ideas and expectations really does a number on parents, especially parents that that are interested in personal development and self-help and have learned about the principles, and they've had insights for themselves and had this feeling of warmth and hope. Is then they go to their house and they lose it, and they want to pass it on to their kids so badly, and they get farther and farther away from them in a way that what happens for parents and coaches and is that you fall into these ideas. First of all, when I suggest to people, well, no, I'm certain that your kids are sweet, stable people, even before I've talked with them, even the ones that are really troubled, that we have this idea that there's this, the frequency, there's a certain frequency, like what you see in them, the glimpse that we catch, every once in a while, a teacher or another parent will describe a quality in your kid that you remember seeing a few months ago. They used to be that wall to wall. You don't see it anymore. And what I find with parents is they do see it, but it's not that often. They want it more. They want that quality to show up more often. Instead of getting a glimpse of it, they want to see it all the time. Or it doesn't show up Christmas morning. It shows up randomly at 1 a.m. On a work day over a bowl of cereal. Like there's this really cute, fun side of them where they like you again and they want to show you, a YouTube video. And you catch these little glimpses of, or oftentimes, like I heard Nicholas say this, she'll remember, on the side, my son and daughter were really, like into hanging out. And it's not happening when you're not really present. You're over there being distracted and thinking about work, and they're over there having these qualities. So, or it shows up kind of in the wrong form. They're sweet towards their friends. You're not part of it. They're doing it with their sibling. You don't really get to be part of the mix, but you see it from afar. So it's not really happening the way that you want it. And that's one of the things that gets in the way for people is we have kind of our ideas and our standards and how we want what we're looking for, the kind of the love and the connection to show up, the qualities we want to see in our kids and the dynamics that we want to see and the culture we want to see.
But we make that up. We create that idea of that. Like I could write it on a piece of paper, like this concept, this idea, these expectations of it should look like this and this and this and this and this. And then, even worse than that, we take it on. It's like, so my job is to manufacture that.
Yeah. Jesus, I have to go manifest that.
Not even manifest it. Make it happen. Right. So I'd go and buy like conversation cards so we could all have fun, amusing dinner times. And I would buy parenting books so that I could. And it's like and I know you're probably going to talk about this, but when you try and manufacture something, you're working under the presupposition that it's not already there.
Right.
And that without you actually creating and bringing that into form, it would never happen. So that's been my job for the last 17 years until we had this conversation.
Yeah, that's
to manufacture this perfect family.
Right. And what happens is, when people get as soon as you have a vision for what it could look like and you get attached to that, then you run out, and it's kind of like trying to put clothes on somebody who's already wearing clothes. Like it doesn't, they're kind of like, I have an outfit, thanks. They don't want you getting in their business. And
we don't want to play Monopoly, Mum. Like, why are you trying to make us into this picture perfect family? I just want to go and sit in my room and not talk to anyone this afternoon.
Right. And their resistance really looks like, see what I'm talking about? So
and I get
hurt.
I get hurt inside,
right,
because they don't want this family.
Or you get really disappointed that you're not going to be able to manufacture or manifest what you're supposed to be doing. So one of the things that happens is, there's kind of your ideas and expectations that kind of get in the way and we trip over. But the bigger problem is that you're busy. People get so busy being down on things and dejected and defeated, waiting for the other people to change. And they have this idea that that they can't, unless things look just like they want out there, that they're going to feel dejected. So there are, what parents have to be able to do is look past, is be able to, at the very least, own their disappointment of, I'm attached to things looking a certain way, and be able to consider, well, there are moments, there were for Nicola, for all of Erica's families, maybe my family's no different, maybe we're not too far gone, and to be able to kind of learn to listen and trust that what you're looking for is natural and built into the human condition. So the feeling of love and connection has to be all over your kids' faces, because it's like hands and toes, it's fingers and toes, it's part, everybody gets them. And it's frankly impossible for somebody not to have any of that.
Yeah.
That you have to be able to have enough conviction, separate yourself from your ideas and have enough conviction that that's not possible, that they're missing it. I just have to, so partly you have to know what you're looking for, that you're not looking for it to take the form you want. You're looking for a feeling. It's not going to show up the way you want. You're sort of looking for a feeling. So rather than, what you're looking for is a connection and a feeling of love, or a feeling of warmth and relief, and oh, there it is, versus a feeling of sort of dissatisfaction and concern, and there's something wrong with me or my life or my parenting or my partner or my kids. That's what ends up taking over and kind of eclipsing what you'd otherwise see as these qualities in your kids, is you get caught in your own experience of a sort of attention and a pressure to create something in your kids. And that's the thing, that knowing what you're looking for, and that you're looking for a feeling, but it requires you to overlook the unsavory stuff that you're not looking for. You really have to get good at, okay, never mind that. And if you have teenagers, or you're locked in a house because there's a pandemic, you have to do a lot of overlooking. It has to be a skill you're ready to get good at, just like not having enough sleep and being okay with it when you had little kids. Like you get good at it. You have to get good at overlooking all this stuff that you've been used to tracking, like what's wrong with my kids and why, what are they doing that's getting in the way of the vision that I want for my household? Like, if it wasn't for those people, this would be a great house to live in. Like you have to really do a lot of that. It might be 95% of your time might be spent overlooking the things that you don't like. Kind of like when I had to go to Chuck E. Cheese. I don't know if you have those there. We have this.
It sounds dreadful.
Oh, it's terrible. Where kids want to have a birthday party where there's, it's like that. It's basically a whole bunch of, it's an arcade. where they have, you know, the video games, the old school kind that you stand at. It's this giant room with a whole bunch of those all making noise. And then they serve pizza and there's this big dancing mouse, and people have birthday parties there. And, you know, every year you have to go there for 3 or 4 years. And
Only in America.
you're
Only
trying
in
to have a
America.
nice experience with your kid and the friends, the parents of your kids' friends, and it's really hard to. That's sometimes what it's like. There's noise and loud and chaotic, and everybody's crying, and your kid's crying because they're overstimulated. You hate it, and it's that's what it feels like. It's like if you can do that, you can find love and connection among your super surly, unpleasant, bickering family and you and your dissatisfaction. It takes sort of a commitment and knowing what you're looking for, but the ability to overlook a lot of unsavory stuff, and really a commitment to I'm looking for warmth and appreciation and
You know what it was like? For me,
yeah,
the experience went from, you know, that old woman, young woman picture where they're the same picture, but you see
yeah,
either the old woman or the young woman.
yeah,
It's like my whole time as a parent, I'd been seeing the old woman
right,
and saying, but I really want the young woman. I really want the young woman. And when I looked, it was already there. And it was like, it's almost like my vision went ka-junk. And suddenly
right,
I could see the young woman. I could see those sparks of like just a little, are you finished in the bathroom yet? No, not yet. Okay, I'll call you when I'm out.
right,
Like that's what I was looking for. Kindness.
exactly, yeah,
It would be like someone painting someone's fingernails or lending them a book, but it would just be like a little spark here and a little spark there and a little spark
right,
there.
right,
But as soon as I got eyes for it, I couldn't not see it, and it was everywhere. And it
exactly.
wasn't like it had only just started. But
No,
it was like all I could see before was the old woman. The
right,
young woman was totally invisible to me, even though she was there all along.
right,
I couldn't see it. And then
yeah,
suddenly, as soon as I saw it, I was like, how did I not see this the whole
right.
time?
See, it's sort of like, you know, listening to your kid play in a band with 30 other kids and nobody has any talent, you know, one or two of them. And you have to listen past all the noise to hear your kid's instrument.
Yeah,
It can be
yeah,
done. And then you just hear that. You don't hear the rest of it.
yeah,
And it's everywhere. And you want to be able to look, it can take any form. A lot of parents, especially the teenagers, where I work with a lot of parents who have kids that are really dark and really troubled, and they might see them, they might they might have an exchange with them once a month that has any meanings. They just aren't, you know, they don't see them. So what this means for parents that want to sort of promote harvest a connection and closeness, um, in is that you really have to get proactive and, um, you know, hanging around a little more. So I had one of my parents said, um, my son, he's she doesn't see him that often, and normally he's kind of surly, but she says, he'll do these kind of one-liner comments that are hilarious. And she says he's not even talking to me, and I realized he's funny. He's really funny, and you don't think there's anything going on in there. That's one of her big concerns. He plays Xbox most of the time. And this kid's he's suicidal and really dark, and he's hostile, really hostile. He doesn't get along with his teachers. He gets along with very few people. She realized, he's so funny. And that was one of the first comments she said when she kind of got out of her concern. And I said, go look and see, what else do you see besides negativity? Just tell me what else you see that's, what other qualities do you see in your kids when you're not freaked out? And that she said, once I started noticing his humor, I realized he's funny a lot. And she only really spends time with him from across the house. Because I said, you can enjoy your kids from afar. You just appreciate them. They don't have to be in the room. They don't have to even have to be awake. You can be thinking back to how they are, what happened today, and qualities you saw. And she says, he'll make really funny comments. And to somebody else in the next room. And she said, I realized you can get through life with humor. humor. I have people that have horrible job experience and they get jobs because they're funny. They keep jobs because they're funny. So so part of it is you have to be looking for it. And the other part you can be doing is sometimes with teenagers, with spouses, really any relationship, you do have to create, you have to create opportunity by being around more. Not Don't go install yourself in their life, because I'll start getting hate mail. But you do have to create space inside yourself to notice them and to see what else is there. And you may have to create a lot of opportunity in you to notice other things besides the road you go down on, the things that you notice. So part of it is creating opportunity with teenagers, spouses, where you're around more when they're around. Just, you have to be available to some degree. Now let them come to you. Like I said, don't stalk them or get all weird and needy, because they hate that. And if you want them to go away, that, hang around them more. But you do have to be open for business in case they want to come in. So like I don't schedule early morning calls because I have teenagers, and that's when they hang out.
Yeah.
When they're making food, because nobody else is awake, they'll invite you to come hang out every 6 weeks. So you have to be around more, and you do have to be present in terms of noticing what they're doing and what they're up to, and watching, noticing them and looking for how are they doing, and what catch their moments of lightness that you'd otherwise
like
be missing.
even as simple as, and this is so practical, but like, they come and they decide to come and join you in the living room for the evening,
right?
Randomly. Like if you're sitting there,
Right.
like it's not going to happen again.
Right.
Like, because you're just not available.
Yeah. And it does seem like, well, I shouldn't have to do that, or or you get used to them. There's some way in which people feel like, well, they should be interested in what I'm doing, or, people have their excuses, and that's exactly one of them. Is you kind of have to be able to, it is going to be on their terms to a large degree. That if they're ready to hang out, you want to drop everything. And I know that makes it look like you're a little bit needy, or your kids are so ungrateful or uncaring that they just give you crumbs and you have to take them. That's what it looks like. You're the one that you're the one coming for help. You're the one that really is probably living in more tension in a lot of ways than your potentially really troubled kid, because you're so freaked out about them. That you're the one that has something to be learned, and you're the one having a problem with what's going on. So if they show up on the scene, you do want to be willing to drop whatever you're doing. You do want to get into binge watching whatever lame shows they watch. Now, you can't fake it. So of the things they're interested in, you have to take it upon yourself to take an interest, because they don't want to do the things they used to want to do now. They'll go shopping with you, but if you're buying things for them. So if that's the only way they'll hang out with you, then do that. And partly it's just a shift. As soon as parents realize, oh, I need to make it my business to take an interest in what they're doing and be around more, you'll see, oh, there are other things there are other ways that we can hang out and connect.
You get wise to when they're like, I know that my youngest daughter, like, we suddenly realize she's brilliant in the morning before she goes to school. She's terrible after school. But so now we get up and just happen to be in the kitchen in the morning, right? And get the best of her. And when you're, oh, can I have a lift here and there? I used to like, oh God, I'm not a taxi, blah. And then I suddenly realized, oh no, that's when I get the best of them. Right. Because they don't have to sit opposite me and talk to me, and I'm not asking them loads of questions, but I'm totally available for being talked to. Right. And so it's like brilliant. So anytime anyone wants a lift, totally up for that.
Well, and let me speak to that too.
Yeah, go on then.
Because a lot of parents will say, well, but my kids are on their devices, and so I tell them that they can't be on their phone while we're driving, and they kind of try to enforce like a not that you can't do this, but they try to force them into hanging out in the car or hanging out at dinner. And a lot of times, like if you give it if it works, great. Like for a long, there's a lot of ways in which, I can get my kids on board with, this is sort of device-free areas, or, we're going for a walk, let's hang out. But if it doesn't work, you have to look for other avenues, and you can't force the ownership of connecting on them. You have to be able to get creative and look for what form it's going to take. And one of the things that points to is that you really have to commit to, more than getting interested in looking for opportunities where they show up. One of the things parents really miss is you have to find a feeling of love and fondness and appreciation and fun in yourself. I don't care what your kids are like, and I don't care how little you get from them and how bad things are. If you don't need them to do it. Like it may affect them, and it may, like you have to be able to find the feeling that you're looking for in your household, in you. Regardless, right? And that's the part that I think is hard for parents. They feel like, well, I need to know my kids are going to be okay, and I need to see how my household's going to turn around before I can relax. No, you don't. You have to be able to. There are horrible situations in life, and situations where kids are struggling and dark. I had a parent was in the ICU with her kid who had an eating disorder, and it was questionable whether she was gonna, how she was gonna do. And the mom realized, my God, I need to just, in fact, the daughter was the one that said it. Mom said, you know what, I feel like I could be doing more for you. And then the daughter said, Mom, can you just like hang out with me? Basically said, I need you to show up, and you're kind of not showing up. I need you to just be here with me and stop worrying. And, I have to find my way through this. And the mom realized, sitting there, oh, I'm all freaked out. My daughter needs me. And what was so great is the daughter was like, I need to get my own clarity, and I have to kind of let things unravel and hit bottom. And I'll come around. I'm not really worried about myself. I just need to let it run its course. And then the mom really, you discovered this too, Nicole, on your own. Like, you have to kind of find the feeling in yourself and trust that. And the way that translates into guidance for parents who are trying to influence their kids is, you have to just, your calm and your love and your fondness and sweetness, it anchors people. It calms people. The times that we're freaked out, and the people around us help us. The people that we go to those people because of the feeling they're in, not because of the answers and the guidance they provide. Mm-hmm. And if you're trying to bring connection and closeness and love and to your household, if you don't have that yourself, I don't care if you're a coach, if you're amazing working with parents, you're in the same boat I am. If I don't have that feeling myself, I don't care. It doesn't matter what I do for a living or how articulate.
You want to be completely full up with it already, and then go hang out with your kids.
Exactly. And even then, it's not a guarantee.
Yeah.
Like for me, just because I am fond of my kids, it doesn't mean they want me to hang out with them when they make mac and cheese or help them with their problems. Mm-hmm. That's how you up your chances. Yeah. But you have to be able to find your own feeling and see that's not connected to how they're doing, whether you're able to help them, whether you're able to influence your household culture, or because you're a free agent, and whatever it is you're looking for to manufacture or manifest in your household, it has to start with you. Yeah. So it's kind of like telling your husband, well, you have to be nice to me, when you're really kind of, have an edge and an arrogance to yourself. Mm-hmm. So you have to be, so part of it is, you know, you have to look for openings where you see a way of connecting to your kid, and to be patient and wait for those openings. But you also have to be willing to walk away and not be able to have the connection you want or provide the guidance you want without fixing anything, and be okay with that. In the same way you want your kid to be okay, even though their problems aren't fixed. That you have to find that for yourself. Every time you lose it, you have to go back there. So it's always going to start. Anything you see out there, the answer to it is always going to start inside you. And a lot of this in parenting, you have to kind of take the long game and figure, well, I'll come back to finding it in me, and then I'll see what makes sense from there.